Hey guys, back again with something awesome from one of my favorite brands. It's a Kuby, and it's in the black box, so it's not one of their real high-end ones, but as I like to say, everything from Kuby is a great knife. You know, it's just materials and stuff are a little different with the really high-end ones, but today we're looking at the KB245, which is actually a pretty cool knife in terms of materials and everything. So, we recently just looked at one. I think it was the KU. I can't remember. Was it the KU 245? 235? KU 235. Which I think, now if we're trying to rack and stack or rank them, I think would be a little bit lower than this one. But still a great knife. Very nice blade, sliced blade on that one. This one I really like, though, the looks of and everything. This one is, again, mid-range. I think it's $50, $60 kind of knife. Very, very nicely done from Kuby. Uses kind of a blade steel. You don't see a whole lot, but we'll get to that. Kind of standard size from Kuby, you know. Has the decorative Kuby branded pivot there. Your scale material here. So I actually talked to somebody from Kuby to try to find out exactly what this is, because all it says is synthetic. They said synthetic like micarta. You know, doing my research and everything, I believe that it's a phenolic resin. So technically, when we say micarta, a lot of people, you know, what is micarta? Micarta is actually a brand name. It's like a when we say micarta, what we really mean is a phenolic resin material, and that is in fact a synthetic. No matter what the micarta material is made of, micarta is a specific. You know, it's like calling all tissue a Kleenex. But a phenolic resin is when you take material with a specific resin compound and you squish it together and you make it. Now you can make and I'm just going to keep using micarta. You can make micarta out of fabric, out of paper, out of you know, a whole lot, out of different things. Out of I have a video, a disastrous video where I tried to make it out of 550 cord, and you know, that was just one attempt. But you can make it out of different kinds of fabrics, out of burlap, out of denim, out of silk even. People have done it. But it's just that process of taking layers of different material object and compressing it through resins to bind it together. And this is really nice. Now, I tried to kind of look as to what I could figure out this might be, and I've got a couple pictures from. I went on looking. One of my favorite suppliers is Alpha Knife Supply, and so I'm borrowing a couple pictures from them, looking, and based on the pattern that we see here, I thought it might be at first either a burlap, micarta, or a Kevlar Storm. Here's pictures of each. You can kind of decide. I'm thinking it's a burlap phenolic resin or a burlap micarta. But anyway, in any case, it's done beautifully. The whole point of micarta is that you get to see all the fibers of whatever you're making it out of through the whole thing, and this has it. So they call this one the Raven, going with Kuby's newer trend of naming their knives instead of just giving them numbers. It's got a titanium clip. It's got 420J liners, and the AUS 10 blade, and your backspacer, by the way, also made of the same material. It is a flip on bearings. It's got a little bit of oil just in the pivot, I guess, coming out. Now, AUS 10 is a stainless steel. We'll talk about the steel in a moment, but let's just take a look at the lines on this thing. That is very stylish. I gotta be honest, not my favorite design out of Kuby. And here's something interesting too. So Kuby is now putting, I don't know if that's an in-house designer or if that's somebody new they're working with. I'm not familiar with that maker's mark there. Jelly Jerry, but there you go. So, not my favorite design to ever come out of Kuby, artistically speaking, but it works. It's a comfortable little knife. It's actually kind of a, well, it's, you know, little in terms of how it feels, but it's a decent sized EDC blade. Like just about every Kuby out there, mechanics on this thing, fantastic. Very, very nicely engineered. Let's see, skeletonized liners, so it's relatively lightweight for its size. Nice, big, sweeping, fine edge, lots of good slicing power. Flat saber ground blade in that steel that we're going to talk about now. AUS 10 is a Japanese steel. It is it's an upgrade to AUS 8. So AUS 10, not to get into too many beeps and squeaks, but it includes a higher carbon content. It's just over 1% carbon, which I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you get into the composition of steels and the chemical formulas, 1% is a pretty good amount. It provides you a pretty tough blade. Now it also includes extra nickel, molybdenum, things like that, which will balance out that carbon factor to help it remain in the stainless family. So very good corrosion resistance, but very good edge retention properties. Definitely just of note, it's one steel. You definitely don't want to sharpen with a pull-through sharpener because of the brittleness factor of that extra carbon content. Not brittleness like it will shatter on you, but it's definitely not a steel that you want to use a pull-through sharpener. You want to give it traditional sharpening. Wow, that's kind of, I'm just looking at the shine on the edge there on the bevel. It's a very forgiving steel in most other ways though. Good edge retention, really good corrosion resistance, and on a mid-grade, knife, it's a very good choice for steel like that. It'll really do well. It does everything AUS 8 does, bigger, better, faster, and that extra bit of carbon content will really help it retain that edge, while not being extra hard to sharpen, if you need to put that edge back on one day. Responds really well to coarser grades when you're sharpening. So if you want to do some reprofiling of the edge, or if you just really want to refine that edge and go to town on it, you won't have some problems like you might on some milder steels. So this one comes in a bead blast finish on the blade and satin on all the other hardware. There are different hues, different colors, but they're basically, it looks like there's a black, a little lighter than this, and then this one color options. I really like this. This looks like kind of a traditional sort of untreated burlap micarta to me. That flipper is so small and unobtrusive, which is something I really love about the design. It doesn't get in your way. It's not going to be a pocket poker, and it just, I didn't even mean, oh, well, that didn't really work out. I was going to say just a little less pressure, though. But you don't have to, really wrench it with your finger to get it going because of the mechanics and the ball bearings in there. It doesn't need a huge flipper to give you, a lot of leverage to get it going. It's just a really well-made knife. I am always impressed with Kubys. That one guy said, oh, they're on their payroll. I wish I was. I should be, for how many reviews I've done of Kuby on my own dime. I just, I like to recommend these to people who want a good quality knife and don't have a whole lot of money to throw around there. I keep saying, as I sit down with friends, their designs with more well-known names would be 2 or 3 times the price. That's why I like putting in my collection, and I like to say, hey, these are good knives, guys. I really like what they have to offer. So my paper test money, I can't even feel that going through the paper at all. This is one of the best, one of the nicest going through the paper knives I have ever felt in my life, ever. Let's do a pull through. Beautifully clean, almost no resistance on this at all. Just pops right through, and I mean, razor sharp, awesome. I'm not going to do the slice because I mean, with how easy you did that pull through, the slice will it'll just go straight through. So in terms of options, well, we can see right now it's not quite deep carry, but they could not have put that clip any higher up if they tried. It'd be nice if it was deep carry and got it all the way in there, but it is tip down right hand carry only, so not any options really at all for anything else unless you want to remount this and tap the hole for a screw yourself, which you could do if you're ingenuitive. That's one drawback it has. If you're not into the tip up right hand, that's kind of like, screw you get nothing. But I find that the majority of people I talk to that's exactly how they want to carry it. The clip, you definitely do feel it in your hand. Not in an uncomfortable way, but if you're somebody that doesn't like to feel that clip at all, you're going to feel that clip. Like I said, it's not uncomfortable. It's a little higher up than the rest of the knife, so it is there. Depending on how you hold the knife. If you hold it kind of across the palm, you really don't feel it at all. And I know that is the way some people hold the knife. This one, naturally, it just sort of falls into the fingertips, though, for me, and I do feel it a little bit. Pros and cons on every knife, you know. Definitely not uncomfortable to hold, though. It's contoured very nicely, and even with big hands, you can see, no matter how I choose to hold it, where in my hand, I've got plenty of space. It's not disappearing into my hand. I feel like I've got a really secure hold on it, no matter how I choose to hold it. And in the reverse grip, actually feels really good because it almost gives you a perfect thumb ramp there. So there's no jimping to speak of at all. But the grip is, you know, with a little bit of the choil you have there towards the lock and the contouring up there, you do get a nice lock. Sometimes I talk about that 2-finger lock that goes into it. Like, you get grip right there, and the rest of your hand is just kind of gravy for, you know, moving the knife around and controlling it. Can't really choke up because of where the flipper is, but you can position the finger, your index finger, across the spine of the blade and get that fine control that we want sometimes on it. So I could see this as an EDC knife. I'm not sure if I could see it as a real rugged use knife, although I have seen thinner blades in EDC knives than this, and Kubys are pretty durable overall. I don't know if I'd take this personally through more than EDC unless I had to, but it feels great, like it would make a perfect EDC all day long. Bead blast is done really, really well. There's no rough spots on it at all. Nothing to hold up your cutting. Yeah, very, very nice. I could highly recommend this, just like I could highly recommend virtually every other Kuby I've ever put my hands on. With the price at about $50 to $60 without sales, you know, that's for some people that's way out of their way out of their knife, you know, shopping range. For some people, that's quite a bargain for what they've got going on here. And I'll repeat it once again. I firmly believe that under someone else's name, this knife would cost way more than what Kuby charges. What would be the difference between this knife and one of, you know, Kuby's higher end? It would be materials. The engineering that you're going to get is going to be awesome across the board, but you know, they probably replace it with an N690 blade or an you know, S35 VN or M390 blade. You'd probably get some titanium or carbon fiber, and you know, but the internals would all be the same on their higher end kind of category. That's the real difference. And beautiful, beautiful workmanship on their higher end stuff. You know, very nice milling, fluting, all kinds of artistic touches. But this right there, I mean, I would be... This has a showing off factor all on its own. That micarta is done really, really nicely. The blade is done really, really nicely. It doesn't look like a cheap gas station knife at all. I mean, it's not something I'd be ashamed to take out in front of my knife guys and be using, or pull out at work and be using in front of folks that know a thing or two about knives. And I'm, you know, I think Kuby is and should be a very well-respected name. I know some people aren't, a lot of people don't know about them, but, you know, once you put one of these knives in their hand, like my friend, I bring him up a lot lately because we've just been hanging out a lot. I put one in my friend Dave's hand, and he could not believe it was the price it was. I asked him to guess the price, and he guessed about 3 times as much. Not this one, but another one I gave him. He guessed 3 times the price of what the knife cost, and thought I was messing with him when I told him the real cost of it. And he's a dude who knows knives. He's, you know, got quite a large collection. So he in fact said he was gonna order one for each of the dudes that worked for him. And he's like, 'cause I can give each of them a knife. I know everybody has a knife. I know it's good, and if they lose one, I'll order another one. It's like, you know. So anyway, so the Raven by Kuby, another really nice design. A little more expensive than the last one we looked at, but I think worth it. Definitely worth it. I'm gonna see if I can get my hands on one of the upper levels for the next one I get. Definitely a cool shape though. So guys, comments. Anybody have one? Anybody like it? Want to get one? Anybody? I'm still waiting for, and I always say this, if you have a bad Kuby story, because I'm not trying to, I'm not on the payroll, I'm not sponsored. If you have a bad Kuby story, please share it. To this date though, I have never been able to find someone who said I had a Kuby and it was a piece of crap. If you have a negative Kuby story, please do fill me in. I do not know anybody who can say I bought a Kuby and it wasn't worth the money, or I bought a Kuby and it fell apart on me, or, you know, I bought a Kuby and I wasn't happy. I'm looking for somebody who could tell me I have a bad Kuby story. So please share it if you have one, you know? Let me know. Let us all know. Either through an email to me or in the comments or something. Otherwise, this is another one. This will be on my Amazon Influencer under favorite folders. I love this one. It's really, really nice. Really, 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 really nice. And there's a link to my influencer list in the video description. If you guys haven't checked out the joint unboxing for Barrel and Blade, me and Video Addict did, the live stream, there's going to be an end screen for that on this video. We had a good old time. Not the greatest box, but definitely not as bad as that Battle Box Order 66. So, check those out, guys. And remember, you are all absolutely awesome. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will be back again real soon.